When you know that you're valuable, you know that you have something that costs. Welcome to the place where visionaries, leaders, and kingdom builders come when you are in the alley, as I help you discover the keys to unlock your next level of clarity, strategy, and confidence. I'm Dr. Latanya. Welcome back to my channel. It's Dr. Latanya Moore, here to help you discover the keys to unlock your next level of clarity, strategy, and confidence. Baby, because when you are in the alley, not to be confused with the valley, you need the keys to really unlock your next level of building. And one thing I know for sure is that when you really start to think about those keys, you have to understand your value. That's right, your value. When I tell you, one of the things that I've noticed so much about kingdom visionaries, kingdom builders, when you are in this alley space, right, and really in between building phases, something begins to happen as you look inward and you start to look at yourself and know that you're being transitioned and you're moving to this other place, and you start to question your value. Oh my goodness. It's a trick of the enemy, okay? You start to question your value because you're trying to figure out if anything that you have built already can be sustained, and how it's going to be sustained, and who's going to help you really get those things done. Meanwhile, really figuring out, like, how do I continue to build at the same time? And sometimes that makes you question yourself. Well, one of the things that I'm noticing is that it can be a huge place where you start to question yourself so much that you start to question your value. So today, I really want to talk to you about your value. That's right. Stop playing visionary. You are valuable. And I am here to show you several things that begin to happen when you really lock in on your value. When you know you are valuable, everything changes, everything shifts, right? So I want you to start to think about what happens when someone encounters me. Or do they leave changed? Do they leave different? Do they leave feeling like, you know what? I don't know, something about this encounter really shifted me, really motivated me, really placed me into the area of action, right? So I really want you to think about that, because there are so many people whom you have encountered, some who've told you and some who have yet to tell you, that the entire interaction with you was so valuable that they shifted something in their lives as a result of speaking with you. Some of them, you didn't even really do anything. It didn't feel like it anyway, right? But those levels of value that you are releasing into the earth, into the kingdom, into the people whom God has called you to serve, into strangers, are the levels of value that you have to hold on to and capture when you're in transition. All right, so I want you to start to think 3 things, okay, that happen when you begin to understand your level of value. Okay, what happens when you begin to understand your level of value? Because it's just that valuable. Number 1, when you understand your level of value, you realize that you're making an impact, right? And so you start to measure your level of impact. Sometimes we don't think about keeping data on the number of people that we serve or the number of people who we've impacted, because there are so many. But I want you to think about this as a visionary and as a leader, and really think about how you can begin to quantify it. You need quantifiable data when you are in the alley, to really remind yourself of all the things that you have done to help others get out of their areas of transition, all the things that you've done to help people move smoothly into their next season, right? So when I say measuring your level of value, that means that you are taking inventory of the people that you have helped. You're taking inventory of the people that you've shifted. You're taking inventory of the people that you've worked closely with. You've taken inventory of the people that you've impacted. And not just a number, but I want you to think about the number as your quantifiable data, right? we need qualitative and quantitative here. Okay, let's think both ways. We need the numbers and we also need the words, right? I want you to also think about what happened as a result of working with you or being in close proximity to you. Did someone move from one place to another? Did someone move from not having confidence at all to having confidence? Did someone move from not speaking to speaking on stages, big public stages? Did someone move from being stuck on stagnant in fear into, the person who is launching the things that God has called them to launch? That is data. And when you're in the alley, it is important to focus your mind around that data because it helps you remember how valuable you are in the midst of transition. It's so important. And so again, when you know your value, that means you are measuring, right, your impact. The second thing that I want to share with you that happens when you really, really know your value, okay? This one is good. You move like you're valuable. That means that when you show up places, you move like you're valuable. When you show up and do things, you move as if you know and understand the value that you bring into that room. That means that you aren't shrinking back. That means that you aren't questioning. That means that you don't accept anything. You don't accept, different responses and, things of that nature because you know how valuable you are. You also are very careful, right? Because you know your value and you show up in that valuable way. You're very careful with who you listen to or who you have around you. When you know that you're valuable, you know that you have something that costs. You have something that costs. And because it costs you something, you aren't willing to give it away at an easy, low fare or low investment, right? And that really leads me into the third point here because when you know that you're valuable, you charge. You invest like you're valuable. And that goes both ways, right? So one, you charge and you place an investment on your own products, on your own services, on the own things that, God has called you to do, your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. But it also means that you're investing in yourself at a higher level. You understand and know that because you're valuable, that you have to invest more in yourself to receive, to see, and to honor what is on your life. And that level of value is what's going to help you when you are in transitional phases. You can't just go do any old thing. You want the person who can go to places that have low value because you are valuable. And so you're looking for places and spaces where you can receive at a higher level of value because you're valuable and because you recognize the value that you bring into other people's lives. I use this example all the time with, some of my clients because I want them to know the level of value that I invest in myself. So I know that I provide high level coaching. Well, when I started to provide high-level coaching, it was because I invested in high-level coaching. I realized that in order to get to the places and spaces that I desire to be, or where God has called me, many of those places and spaces are places where high-level thinkers are. High-level thinkers. Right? If I want to be around other leaders, other visionaries, others who are making kingdom impact, others who are multiplying and monetizing in purpose, others who are really not just building, but also becoming kingdom architects, who are creating blueprints, those rooms are different. And those rooms are rooms where you have to invest more. Right, at a higher level. Because I know my value, I'm gonna go to different places and spaces where I can get that level of impact. I can't go anymore to the lower level rooms where I know that I'm gonna be the one, right, pouring out all my value and not necessarily receiving anything in return. And one of the things that is so important is that you understand the spaces where you're going to pour, you understand the spaces where you're going to be poured into, and you understand the spaces where the pour is reciprocal, okay? Visionary. You are valuable. And it's so important to remind yourself of those things and to begin to measure your impact and to begin to, show up in places and spaces where you are valued, and to begin to put the investment in yourself, right, and own yourself, so that you can begin to see yourself skyrocket in these areas. What do you do when you start to question your value? You go back to your brag bag. You begin to understand the lives that you've changed, the things that you've done for others, the ways that you have allowed God to use you, right, to really shift and change the lives of the people that He has called you to. I promise you that when you see yourself and your level of value at a higher level, everything will shift. Visionary, you're valuable, and I want you to treat yourself as such, show up as such, and expect such value. Okay? Listen, those were a couple keys. If you know a visionary right now who might be struggling with their value, or maybe you're in a place where you're like, listen, I was questioning my value a little bit, but I'm glad you brought me right on back. Make sure that you connect. Make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. There's so many keys that you can use in my videos, right? And so one of the things that I want you to do is stay connected, but I also want you to connect deeper, right? Go to the description. Make sure that you sign up and join my email list. And I would love to help steward you through this process, to help assist you through this process so that you don't shrink on anything, especially as it relates to your value. All right, let's go. Remember, you got the keys.